I was 34 years old when I found myself shoving clothes into a duffel bag at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday night while my wife screamed accusations at me from the bedroom doorway. Her sister Vanessa sat downstairs on our couch, and I could picture the satisfied smile on her face, even though I couldn't see her. She'd been staying with us for 3 weeks, and somehow in that time, she'd convinced my wife that I was planning to abandon our marriage. Not thinking about it, not considering it, planning it, like I had some secret escape route mapped out with apartment listings and packed bags hidden in my car. "You heard what Vanessa said," my wife shouted, her voice cracking. "She saw the messages on your phone. She knows you've been contacting apartment managers." I stopped packing and turned to face her, trying to keep my voice steady. "I haven't talked to any apartment managers." "And when exactly did Vanessa go through my phone?" "Don't try to flip this around on her. She was looking for her charger, and your phone was sitting there unlocked." The lie was so obvious, it was almost insulting. My phone required a fingerprint to unlock. But standing there, watching my wife's face twisted with certainty and anger, I realized something. Facts didn't matter right now. She'd already made her decision. Vanessa had planted the seeds, watered them with fabricated evidence, and my wife had let them grow into this moment. "You believe her over me," I said. It wasn't a question. "She's my sister. She wouldn't lie about something like this." I zipped up the duffel bag slowly, deliberately. The sound felt final. "All right then." My wife blinked, caught off guard. I think she expected me to fight harder, to beg, to defend myself with more emotion. Instead, I grabbed my work laptop bag from the closet and my keys from the dresser. The weight of them felt different in my hand, lighter somehow, like I was picking up freedom instead of car keys. "That's it? You're just leaving?" "You told me to leave," I said calmly. "I'm leaving." I walked past her and down the stairs. Vanessa was exactly where I'd pictured her, stretched out on our couch, scrolling through her phone with that subtle smile playing at the corners of her mouth. She glanced up as I reached the bottom step, her eyes glittering with something that looked like victory. "Going somewhere?" she asked, like she didn't already know. Apparently I was planning to anyway, according to you. Her smile widened just a fraction, and in that moment I saw it clearly. The calculation, the malice, the satisfaction of a plan coming together. I just told her what I saw. "Right. What you saw on my locked phone that you definitely didn't hack into." "I don't know what you're talking about." My wife appeared at the top of the stairs. "Just go. I can't even look at you right now." I headed for the door, but something stopped me with my hand on the knob. For weeks now, small things had been nagging at me. Cash disappearing from the emergency drawer in the kitchen. Strange charges on our credit card for stores I'd never been to. Brands I'd never heard of. Every time I mentioned it, my wife brushed it off. Said she probably bought something and forgot, or maybe it was a subscription renewal. But now, looking at Vanessa's satisfied face, something clicked. "Hey," I said, turning back to her. "How much did you say you paid for that purse you bought last week?" She blinked, momentarily thrown. "What?" "The designer one. You said you'd been saving up for months. I'm just curious how much it cost." "I don't see how that's any of your business now." "It's not," I agreed. "Just curious." I walked out into the night air. The September cold hit my face and cleared my head. I threw my bags in the truck, started the engine, and drove away. In the rear-view mirror, I could see the living room light still on. 2 silhouettes in the window, my wife and her sister, probably already rewriting the narrative of what just happened. 3 miles down the road, I pulled into a gas station parking lot and just sat there for a minute, breathing. My hands were steady on the steering wheel. My mind was clear. Then I pulled out my phone and opened our banking app, something I'd been meaning to check for weeks but kept getting distracted from. There it was. A charge from 2 months ago at a boutique downtown. $800. I clicked on it, then cross-referenced it with our shared calendar. That was the day my wife told me she was visiting her mother in Portland. The charge was local. Meridian Street Boutique, processed at 11:47 a.m. I scrolled back further. More charges. Different stores, different amounts, but all following a pattern. They all fell on days when my wife wasn't home, days when Vanessa had been staying with us. I took a screenshot of each one, methodically, my inventory manager brain kicking into gear. I created a new folder on my phone labeled Evidence and saved them all there. Then I did something I probably should have done sooner. I called my buddy Fletcher from work. "It's almost midnight," he answered, his voice thick with sleep. "I know. I need a place to crash for a few days, maybe longer." There was a pause, and I could hear him sitting up. "What happened?" "I got kicked out of my own house because my sister-in-law decided to start some drama. Long story. Come on over. I've got a spare room and you know where I keep the beer." "Thanks, man. I owe you one." "You really don't. See you in 20?" I hung up and stared at my phone screen, at all those screenshots I'd just taken. Then I opened my email and composed a message to myself with the subject line, "Evidence, do not delete." I attached every screenshot, hit send, and watched the little swoosh animation confirm it went through. Something told me I was going to need them. Fletcher's spare room was exactly what I needed. Basic, but clean. A bed, a dresser, and a window that looked out onto his backyard where morning light would eventually filter through. It was enough. More than enough, actually, because it was mine, and nobody was accusing me of crimes I didn't commit. I spent that first morning at Fletcher's kitchen table with my laptop open, going through 6 months of bank statements while he made coffee. I printed everything out, highlighted the suspicious charges with a yellow marker, and watched the pattern emerge with perfect clarity. Charges on Tuesdays and Thursdays, always between 10 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. Those were the days my wife worked her longest shifts at the dental office, sometimes not getting home until 7 or 8 at night. And Vanessa, I realize now, checking my phone's photo history, had actually been crashing at our place on and off for the past 4 months, not 3 weeks. I'd taken a photo of her mail sitting on our counter back in May, junk mail addressed to Vanessa Torres, 2847 Pinewood Lane, our address. "How bad is it?" Fletcher asked, setting a coffee mug next to my laptop. "Bad enough that I'm calling a lawyer today." "You think the sister's been stealing?" "I don't think. I know. Look at this." I turned the laptop toward him. 800 here, 650 there, 400 at some jewelry store. All charged to our credit card, all on days when my wife wasn't home. Fletcher whistled low. "That's what, $3,000 right there? That's just March. I haven't even finished going through April and May yet." My phone buzzed on the table. A text from my wife, the first one since I'd left. "We need to talk." I set the phone face down without responding. "Not answering?" Fletcher asked. "Nothing to talk about. She made her choice." The truth was, I had plenty to say. But not yet. Not until I had everything documented, organized, and presented to a lawyer who could tell me exactly what my options were. I finished my coffee and pulled up a search for divorce attorneys in the area. Found one with solid reviews. Patricia Simmons, 15 years of family law experience, former prosecutor. I called and left a detailed message. Then I went back to the bank statements. By noon, I'd found over $7,000 in fraudulent charges, all made while Vanessa had access to our house, our cards, our information. The woman was methodical, I'd give her that. Never took too much at once. Spread it out over months, varied the stores, kept the amounts reasonable enough that they wouldn't trigger fraud alerts. Probably thought nobody would notice, or if they did, she'd be long gone by then. My phone buzzed again. Another text. "You can't just ignore me forever." I typed back this time, "I'm not ignoring you. I just don't have anything to say right now." 3 dots appeared immediately, disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, Vanessa said you'd act like this. I almost laughed out loud. Of course she did. Vanessa had this whole thing scripted out in her head. Get me kicked out, move herself in permanently, keep draining the accounts while my wife just thought it was stuff she forgot she bought or bills that came up. The perfect con, really. Use family trust as a shield while committing felony theft. The lawyer called back around 2. Her voice was professional, measured, exactly what I needed. "So, let me make sure I understand," Patricia Simmons said after I explained the situation. "Your wife forced you out based on accusations from her sister, and now you've discovered that same sister has been committing financial fraud against you both. That's the short version, yes? Do you have documentation? Bank statements going back 6 months, screenshots, receipts for things we never received. I've been organizing it all morning." "Good, very good. Can you come in tomorrow at 10? I want to see everything you have." "I'll be there. And one more thing. Stop communicating with your wife. Nothing in writing, nothing verbal. If she needs to reach you, it goes through me once you retain my services. Understood?" "Understood." After I hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Control. Real control, not the illusion of it. For the first time since this nightmare started, I wasn't reacting to someone else's moves. I was making my own. Fletcher came home around 6 with takeout. Burgers from the place near his office. We ate in his living room while a baseball game played on TV, neither of us really watching. "So what's the plan?" he asked. "Meet with the lawyer tomorrow. File for divorce. Probably file a police report about the fraud." "You're really going scorched earth on this." "She kicked me out of my own house because her sister lied. She didn't ask questions, didn't give me a chance to defend myself, just believed Vanessa over me." I took a bite of my burger. "Yeah, I'm going scorched earth." My phone buzzed. This time, it was a call. I let it ring through to voicemail, watched my wife's name flash on the screen until it finally stopped. A minute later, a text notification. "Fine. If you want to be childish about this, I'll just assume Vanessa was right." I showed the text to Fletcher. "She actually thinks you're the one being childish," he said, shaking his head. "Man, I don't know how you stayed married this long." Honest answer? I didn't know either. Not anymore. That night, sleep wouldn't come. I lay in Fletcher's guest bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about all the signs I'd missed. The way Vanessa always seemed to be around when my wife and I argued. How she'd make little comments, suggestions, really, about things I could be doing better, trying harder at, improving. Little poisonous seeds planted in casual conversation. You know, Sarah mentioned that Mark always brings her flowers on Thursdays. My friend's husband just got promoted because he worked on that certification. I saw this article about how successful couples have date night every week. She'd been working on this for months, slowly poisoning my wife against me while simultaneously robbing us blind. Around 2 in the morning, I gave up on sleep and went back to my laptop. I started going through my wife's social media, looking for any clues I might have missed, any pattern to Vanessa's manipulation. Then I found it. 3 weeks ago, my wife had posted a status update. Sometimes family sees things we're too close to notice. Grateful for honest people in my life. Vanessa had commented, "Always here for you, sis. That's what family does." Heart emoji, a prayer hands emoji. 18 likes, including my wife's closest friends, her co-workers, even her mother. I screenshot that too. Added it to my growing folder of evidence. By the time the sun came up, I had a complete timeline. 4 months of systematic manipulation and theft. Every text Vanessa had sent my wife that I could find in old photos and screenshots. Every fraudulent charge she'd made. Every lie she'd told, cross-referenced with dates and times. Tomorrow I'd hand it all to Patricia Simmons. And then we'd see who was really planning to leave whom. Patricia Simmons's office was downtown. 5th floor of a building that smelled like expensive carpet and important decisions. She sat across from me with a printed bank statement spread out on her desk, occasionally making notes on a yellow legal pad with quick, precise handwriting. "This is thorough work," she said, looking up at me. "Most people come in here with gut feelings and vague suspicions. You've got dates, amounts, patterns, transaction locations. I'm an inventory manager. Details are kind of my thing." She smiled briefly. Then her expression went serious again. "Here's what we're looking at. For the divorce, this is straightforward. Grounds for irreconcilable differences, possibly fraud within the marriage, depending on what your wife knew. The fraud situation is separate but related. I'm going to recommend you file a police report today. Will that complicate the divorce? Actually, it'll help. Shows you're a victim of theft, not a willing participant in marital financial problems." She tapped one of the statements with her pen. "But there's something else I want you to look into. These cash advance charges. See them?" I leaned forward. 4 separate charges over 2 months, $200 each time. I assumed those were Vanessa too. They probably are. But cash advances usually mean someone's in immediate need. People with gambling problems, drug habits, that sort of thing. Might be worth looking into what she needed the money for. Could strengthen the criminal case significantly. After leaving Patricia's office, I sat in my truck in the parking garage and pulled up Vanessa's social media on my phone. Her Facebook and Instagram accounts were public, not a privacy setting in sight. I scrolled back through months of posts. Most of it was typical stuff. Selfies with filters that made her eyes too big. Pictures of food she'd ordered at restaurants. Complaints about work. Vague posting about fake people and knowing your worth. Then I found something interesting. A check-in at Desert Sky Casino, about 40 minutes north of town. Posted 6 weeks ago with a photo of her holding a martini at a slot machine. Caption, "Feeling lucky tonight," with a dice emoji and money bag emoji. I kept scrolling. Another casino check-in 3 months back. Silver Palace Casino. Photo of her at a blackjack table with 2 other women I didn't recognize. Then another one. She'd deleted some posts, but the tagged photos from friends were still there, embedded in their timelines. Vanessa at card tables. Vanessa in casino bars with colorful drinks. Vanessa posing with stacks of chips that probably weren't hers. I took screenshots of everything, my heart rate staying perfectly calm. This wasn't anger I was feeling. It was clarity. Then I did something that felt slightly illegal but necessary. I called my buddy Randall, who works in IT security. I need a favor, I said. And I need you to not ask too many questions. This is already starting great, he said, but I could hear him smiling. My sister-in-law. I think she's got gambling debts and I need to confirm it. Can you do any kind of background check? There was a pause. I can run a basic search. Public records, credit reports, if you have her social security number. Nothing classified or illegal. That's all I need. I rattled off Vanessa's full name and date of birth. She'd filled out an emergency contact form at our house months ago. I'd taken a photo of it for insurance purposes. Give me a few hours. I'll text you what I find. By the time I got back to Fletcher's place, my phone was blowing up. 7 missed calls from my wife. 3 voicemails. I listened to the first one while sitting in the truck. You can't just disappear like this. We need to figure out what we're doing with the house, the bills, everything. Call me back. The second one was angrier. Seriously, you're going to ignore me? This is so typical of you. Vanessa said you'd try to punish me by going silent. The third one was different, quieter, almost vulnerable. I miss you. I know you're mad. But we can work through this. Just come home and we'll talk. I deleted all 3 without responding, closed my eyes, and let the silence of Fletcher's driveway settle around me. Around 4 in the afternoon, Randall texted me. Check your email. Sent you what I found. It's not pretty. I opened my laptop. The email had 2 attachments. The first was a credit report. Vanessa had 3 maxed-out credit cards totaling over $15,000 in debt. The second attachment was a PDF of court records. She'd been sued by 2 different creditors in the past year. Both cases settled. Probably payment plans she was already defaulting on. So that's what this was really about. Vanessa wasn't just a thief. She was a desperate thief with serious money problems, drowning in gambling debt. And my wife and I were her personal ATM machines. The cash advances made sense now. Quick money for casino trips, for minimum payments on cards, for keeping the creditors at bay just a little longer. I forwarded everything to Patricia Simmons with a note. Found the motive. She replied within 10 minutes. Perfect. This strengthens everything. File that police report tonight if possible. I'll start drafting divorce papers tomorrow. The police station was quieter than I expected for a Thursday evening. The officer who took my report, Officer Hendricks, according to his nameplate, was professional but skeptical at first. So you're saying your sister-in-law stole from you while living in your house? That's exactly what I'm saying. I have bank statements, receipts, and evidence of unauthorized purchases going back months. I showed him everything on my laptop. The charges, the dates, the timeline of when Vanessa had access to our cards, screenshots of her social media showing casino visits that lined up with cash advances, her credit report showing motive. His expression changed from skeptical to focused. This is identity theft, financial fraud. How much are we talking total? Over $7,000 that I can prove. Probably more I haven't found yet. And your wife knows about this. My wife kicked me out because her sister told her I was planning to leave. She has no idea her sister's been robbing us. He took notes for 20 minutes, asking questions about specific transactions, locations, whether Vanessa had explicit permission to use our cards. Then he handed me a case number written on a small slip of paper. We'll investigate this. It might take a few weeks, but with documentation this solid, we'll likely press charges. What happens then? If we verify everything you've shown me, she'll be arrested, probably charged with multiple counts of fraud and identity theft. He looked at me directly. That's felony territory. I drove back to Fletcher's feeling lighter than I had in weeks. Everything was in motion now. The divorce, the police investigation, the truth slowly emerging from under Vanessa's carefully constructed lies. My phone rang again. My wife's name lit up the screen. This time, I answered. "Finally," she said. "Where have you been?" "Busy." "Busy with what?" "Lawyer meetings, police reports, handling things." There was silence on the other end. "What are you talking about?" "You'll find out soon enough. How's Vanessa doing? She settled into the guest room okay?" "She's fine." "What do you mean I'll find out?" "Find out what?" "Just curious. Tell her I said hi." I hung up before she could respond. Fletcher came home an hour later and found me on the couch, actually smiling at my phone. "You look way too happy for someone going through a divorce," he said. "That's because I'm not just going through a divorce. I'm dismantling an entire operation. Vanessa's got gambling debts, criminal charges coming her way, and no idea I know any of it." "When does your wife find out?" "Soon," I said, leaning back into the couch. "Very soon. And when she does, I want to be there to see her face." 8 weeks. That's how long it took for my wife to finally crack. I'd been staying with Fletcher, working my regular shifts at the distribution center, meeting with Patricia twice a week to finalize everything. The police had confirmed they were moving forward with charges against Vanessa. Detective Morris kept me updated via email. The divorce papers were ready, printed and organized in a manila folder that sat on Fletcher's kitchen counter like a loaded gun. My phone rang on a Wednesday evening. My wife's name on the screen. I let it ring 3 times before answering. "Yeah? We need to talk." Her voice had that edge to it, the one she used when she thought she had the upper hand. "About what?" "About you coming home, about fixing this mess you created." I almost laughed. Mess I created. "That's interesting. Have you realized you were wrong yet?" "I'm willing to move past this if you just admit you overreacted. We can start fresh." There it was. 8 weeks of silence from me, and she thought I was the one who needed to apologize. Vanessa had done her job well. "You want to have this conversation in person?" I asked. "Finally, yes. When can you come over?" "How about Saturday afternoon? 2 o'clock work for you?" "That's fine. Vanessa will be here too. She wants to clear the air." "Perfect. I bet she does. See you then." I hung up and immediately called Patricia. "It's happening Saturday. I need everything ready." "The papers are finalized. I'll have them couriered to you Friday afternoon. You have all the evidence." "Every last piece." "Good luck. Call me after it's done." Friday morning, a courier delivered a thick manila envelope. Inside were the divorce papers, printed, organized, with little colored tabs marking where signatures were needed. I read through every page twice, making sure I understood exactly what I was signing and what my wife would be agreeing to. The settlement was fair, maybe too fair. She'd get half of everything except what could be proven as stolen by Vanessa, which, according to Patricia's calculations, was substantial enough that my wife would actually end up with less than half once restitution was factored in. Fletcher found me at the kitchen table that evening, surrounded by documents. "You nervous?" he asked. "Not even a little. I'm bringing a folder full of evidence that her sister's a criminal." "What's she bringing? More lies from Vanessa?" "You think she knows anything yet?" "Not a chance. If she did, Vanessa would have run already." Saturday morning, I packed everything into my truck. The divorce papers, the police report, printed bank statements with highlighted charges, screenshots of Vanessa's casino check-ins printed in color, her credit report showing the gambling debts, photos of items she'd purchased with our stolen money, still tagged on her social media posts. Everything organized in Fletcher's leather messenger bag. I got to the house at exactly 2 o'clock. My wife's car was in the driveway. So was Vanessa's beat-up Honda with the faded bumper stickers. I grabbed the messenger bag and walked to the front door. Unlocked. I walked in without knocking. My wife was sitting on the couch, arms crossed, her expression somewhere between angry and anxious. Vanessa was in the armchair, our armchair, the one I'd picked out, with that same subtle smile from the night I left. "You're here," my wife said, sounding surprised. "You invited me." I set the messenger bag on the coffee table with a heavy thud. "So, let's talk." "First, I want an apology," she said, "for how you've acted these past 2 months, ignoring my calls, refusing to communicate like an adult." I nodded slowly. "Okay. But before we get to apologies, I have some things to show you." "I don't want to see anything. I want to hear you say you were wrong." Vanessa leaned forward. "Just admit you overreacted. We can all move forward." I looked at her directly for the first time. "Actually, Vanessa, this concerns you most of all." Her smile faltered, just a fraction. I pulled out the first document, 6 months of bank statements, and set them on the coffee table facing my wife. "What is this?" she asked. "Our credit card bills. Take a look at the highlighted charges." She picked up the papers, her eyes scanning. "I don't understand." "Those are purchases neither of us made. $800 at a boutique on a day you were in Portland visiting your mother. $650 at a jewelry store when you were working a double shift. $400 at some online boutique neither of us had ever heard of." My wife's face went pale. "That's impossible." "It's not impossible. It's fraud." I pulled out more papers. Over $7,000 in unauthorized charges, all made while someone else had access to our house and our cards. Vanessa stood up abruptly. "I think I should go." "Sit down," I said, not loud but firm enough that she actually did. "We're just getting started." I pulled out the casino photos next, laying them across the table in a neat row. "Your sister has a gambling problem. These are from her social media. Check-ins at 3 different casinos over 4 months. Want to guess where she got the money?" My wife stared at the photos, then looked at Vanessa. "Is this true?" "He's making this up. He's trying to turn you against me." I pulled out the credit report, unfolded it, and set it down. Here's her debt. $15,000 across 3 maxed-out credit cards. Court records showing she's been sued by creditors twice in the past year. "Stop it," Vanessa said. Her voice was shaking now. And here's my favorite part. I pulled out the final document, the police report, official letterhead, and everything. "I filed this 3 weeks ago. The police have been investigating, and as of yesterday, Detective Morris called me. They have enough evidence to press charges." The room went completely silent. My wife was staring at the papers like they might explode. Vanessa had gone white, her hands gripping the armrests. "Charges for what?" my wife whispered. "Identity theft, financial fraud, credit card fraud. Take your pick." I looked at Vanessa. Detective said probably 3 to 5 years if convicted. Could be more depending on the judge. Vanessa started crying. Not the sad kind of crying, the panicked, can't breathe kind. My wife turned to her sister, her voice breaking. "Tell me he's lying. Tell me none of this is true." Vanessa couldn't speak. She just shook her head, tears streaming down her face. I reached into the bag one more time and pulled out the divorce papers. slid them across the table to my wife. "And these are for you. I'm filing for divorce. You kicked me out based on lies from a woman who was actively robbing us. You chose to believe her over me without asking a single question." I kept my voice calm. "So I'm just finishing what you started?" "Wait." My wife's voice was barely a whisper. "We can fix this. Now that I know what she did, we can work through this." "There's nothing to work through. You made your choice 2 months ago. I'm just making mine now." Vanessa wiped her face with shaking hands. "You don't understand. I was going to pay it back. I just needed time." Time. I pulled out my phone and opened my email. Turned the screen toward them. "Let me show you something Detective Morris sent me yesterday." It was a spreadsheet the police had created, tracking every fraudulent charge by date, location, and amount. They'd even included photos from store security cameras showing Vanessa making several of the purchases. "That's you at Target," I said, pointing to one grainy image. "Buying a cart full of stuff with our card while my wife was at work. And that's you at the jewelry store. And that's you getting cash back at 3 different grocery stores in 1 week." My wife covered her mouth with her hand. Vanessa tried to stand again. "I need to leave. I can't do this." "The detective wants to talk to you," I said calmly. "In fact, he asked me to call him when we were all together. Said it would save him a trip." Vanessa froze. "What?" I pulled out Detective Morris's business card and set it on the table. "Detective Harold Morris, Financial Crimes Unit. He's very interested in hearing your side of the story. Should I give him a call right now?" "No." Vanessa's voice cracked. "Please don't. I'll figure out how to pay it back. I'll get a loan. I'll do whatever it takes." "It's too late for that. The moment I filed that police report, this stopped being a family matter. It's criminal now." My wife was reading through the divorce papers, her hands trembling. "You already signed these." "I did. All you have to do is sign on the highlighted lines, and we're done. The settlement's fair. You keep the house since it's in your name. We split the savings account equally. I take my truck, you keep your car. Clean break." "But the house has a mortgage. How am I supposed to afford that alone?" "That's something you should have thought about before you kicked me out." I kept my voice level, emotionless. "I'm not trying to ruin you. I'm just done being married to someone who trusts me so little that her sister could blow up our entire life with one lie." Vanessa suddenly lunged for her purse. My wife grabbed her arm. "Where do you think you're going?" "I have to get out of here. He's going to call the cops right now." "I already called them," I said. "Well, technically, I filed the report 3 weeks ago. They've been building their case since then. Detective Morris said they'd probably pick you up sometime next week, once they finalize everything with the district attorney." Vanessa's face crumpled. She dropped back into the chair and put her head in her hands, sobbing. My wife looked at me with something between anger and desperation. "How can you be so calm about this? She's my sister. This is going to destroy our family." "Your sister destroyed your family when she decided to use you as cover while she stole from us. I'm just making sure there are consequences." The words hung in the air. My wife picked up a pen. Her hand hovered over the first signature line for a long moment. "I really thought you were leaving me," she said quietly. "Vanessa was so convincing. She showed me texts she said were from you. Screenshots of apartment listings she claimed you were looking at. All fake, all manipulated, and you believed it without asking me once." She signed the first page, then the second, then the third. When she was done, she pushed the papers back across the table. "I hope you're happy." "I'm not happy," I said, gathering the documents. "I'm just done. I stood up and walked toward the door. "Wait," my wife called. "Where are you going to live?" I turned back. "That's not your concern anymore." And I walked out, closing the door behind me for the last time. 3 months later, I was signing the title to a renovated travel trailer on 2 acres just outside town. Nothing fancy, 30 feet long, solar panels on the roof, a small deck I'd have to build myself. But it was mine. Paid cash with money I'd saved working overtime while staying at Fletcher's place. Vanessa got arrested 2 weeks after our confrontation. I wasn't there for it, but Detective Morris called me to let me know. The district attorney charged her with 6 counts of identity theft and fraud. She took a plea deal, 18 months in county jail, 5 years probation, and court-ordered restitution of $8,000 once they found more charges I'd missed. My ex-wife called once during the trial. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail saying she was sorry, that she should have believed me, that maybe we could try again once everything settled down. I deleted it without listening a second time. The divorce was finalized on a Tuesday in November. Patricia called to congratulate me, said it was one of the smoothest cases she'd handled in years, mainly because I documented everything so thoroughly. "You did good," she said. "Most people let emotion take over. You stayed logical." I hung up and looked around my new place. Small living area with a kitchenette. Bedroom barely big enough for a queen bed. Solar panels humming quietly on the roof. A deck I was building overlooking a creek that ran through the property. It wasn't much, but it was peaceful. Fletcher came by that weekend with beer and a housewarming gift. A welcome mat that said, "No drama allowed," in big block letters. "Seems fitting," he said, grinning. We sat on the unfinished deck watching the sun go down, drinking cheap beer that tasted expensive because we were drinking it in peace. "You ever regret how it all went down?" Fletcher asked. "Not even once. She made her choice. I just made sure everyone understood what that choice cost." My phone buzzed. A text from Randall. "Heard your ex is selling the house. Market's rough right now. Thought you'd want to know." I showed Fletcher the message. "You feel bad about that?" "She kept the house in the divorce. What she does with it isn't my problem anymore." I took a drink. "Besides, she's got to pay her sister's restitution somehow." "Cold-blooded." "Accurate," I corrected. "There's a difference." The truth was, I'd moved on. New place, same job, better peace of mind. No more walking into a house wondering what drama was waiting. No more checking bank statements for mysterious charges. No more wondering if my wife believed me or her sister. Last I heard, Vanessa was working in the county jail kitchen, counting down her sentence. My ex-wife had moved in with her mother to save money while she sorted out the house situation. They'd both sent letters through Patricia, formal requests asking if I'd consider reducing the restitution amount. Patricia asked what I wanted to do. "No," I told her. "Actions have consequences." Vanessa learned that the hard way. So did my ex-wife. As for me, I learned that sometimes the trash takes itself out. You just have to be smart enough to lock the door behind it. Fletcher raised his beer. "To new beginnings." I clinked my bottle against his. "To knowing when to walk away." And that was that. No going back, no second chances, no loose ends. Just me, my trailer, my 2 acres of quiet land, and a life that was finally, completely mine. Some people stay stuck in their story, replaying what went wrong, what they could have said differently. But I learned something those 8 weeks taught me. Peace isn't something you beg for. It's something you claim when you stop chasing chaos. I built that deck, planted a small garden, got a dog from the shelter, a shepherd mix named Copper, who doesn't care about my past, just that I show up with food and throw the ball. Fletcher still comes by most weekends. We don't talk about what happened much anymore. There's nothing left to say. Sometimes my phone buzzes with a number I don't recognize. I never answer. Whatever it is, whoever it is, it's not my problem anymore. Because the best revenge isn't destruction. It's indifference. It's building something better and never looking back. And that's exactly what I did. Our story has come to an end. If you've made it this far, how about subscribing to our channel? It helps us immensely. I've selected 2 other videos for you that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Feel free to click on them. I'll be waiting for you in the next story. See you soon.